Some things were signed, and then he was released, and they found a home for him. They did end up finding.
So who found the home for him?
The hospital. The hospital will find a home for him if they need to. They will find a place for him. It just matters how long you want to wait. But as long as you don't go and pick them up, the hospital has to find a place for him to stay because they want that bed.
Maybe I don't know. But I already knew I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, for us it wasn't a conflict. I was like, yeah, I got to do it. I never complained about it. I didn't make a big deal about it. I just did what I had to do and took care of him. But I was wondering how many people listening now that's actually, and you're going to be glad you paid it. Most insurance, you don't ever get the value of it, but I'm telling you, this one,
yes,
man, if my dad would have had some type of long-term insurance, it would have made the biggest difference in how his care was.
Yeah, and stress for you as well as his caregiver.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if it's crazy,
all right, go now.
Wait.
Get out of there! Oh my God!
Hey guys, welcome to the family mess. I'm Noah, and have a nice day.
Good God!
I love the family mess. Oh!
Welcome to the Family Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Ian, and this is my wife and co-host, Natalie. The Family Mess, the podcast about life with kids and now teens and all things adulting. Let's talk. If this is your first episode of the Family Mess, welcome, everybody. How you doing, Natalie? Welcome.
I'm doing good, Ian. You kind of messed up the tagline.
Did I?
Yes, it's supposed to just be teens, not and.
No, it says life with kids and now teens and all things.
Life with kids, now teens.
I
You added an extra word, yes.
So just because I put "and" in there, I messed up?
Yes. But it has the same, I guess, meaning.
I guess so.
Not too bad.
Another episode, man.
Why you sound so exasperated? You should be excited. Another episode. We are here and happy to be talking.
I know. I'm going to try to do it.
Discussing life.
I'm going to try to do it, but
kids and all the other stuff.
Oh man, I'm going to try to do this episode today again and get it done. Is there anything you want to fill everybody in for you, your life, what's going on? Anything new? Quickly before we.
Anything new?
Yeah, people always want to know what's going on with you. Anything new you want your audience to know about you? Anything
new. I've been having a midlife crisis, but I think I'm almost through it. I think I'm almost through my midlife crisis.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been living with midlife crisis. I've been on the hamster wheel and I've been running like crazy on that wheel and my mind has been going all over the place. And I am now, I decided, I haven't been meditating in a while and I decided to meditate a little bit one day and all of a sudden I was like, oh, clarity. Thank God.
An epiphany.
Yes, I got a little more clarity every time I do my meditations again. So I'm back on my meditation. I didn't miss it this morning, but I'm back on my meditations because it's helping. I'm just doing like shorter mindfulness meditations. That's what I've been doing. Found a couple on Spotify, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And it's just mostly about breathing and listening to your breath and feeling your body. But just slowing down has given me some clarity. So
okay,
I'm good.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I ain't got nothing else going on. Just working. Still trying to deal with my dad's stuff and getting that information caught up and finding this information.
Oh, yes, you're finishing. Oh, yeah, I'm working. That's one thing I have been doing, too. I'm working on all of my mom's paperwork. I've been getting all her paperwork done.
Are you having an easier time than me? Because I'm now getting into the parts where I'm just having a tough time finding information, so...
Just so people know, both of our parents in the last few months, my mom in the end of May and Ian's dad at the beginning of August, both passed away. And so now Ian, as the caretaker for his dad, has to take care of a lot of the paperwork for his dad, and me as the paperwork person for my mom, even though my brother, he only handles money stuff. So I've had to handle a lot of the paperwork for taking care of my mom. And that kind of leads into what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about Ian's experience with having to get care for his dad who had colorectal cancer, and he had to care for him himself and then having to move him to a home and transition him to a facility could no longer care for him. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah. What, end of life care outside the home?
So what was talk about what happened to your dad?
Every time I think I'm kind of over, I know it's gonna be hard to get over him, but once I start talking about it again, I'm not going to get emotional this time. I think I feel a little better than I did last time.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. If that's your emotion, you got to let that out.
The grieving process is weird, man. Every time you think you're moving on, like every time I go in that damn room and clean up stuff, I'm like, damn, I start feeling bad again.
I don't have that.
That didn't happen to you?
No, maybe because my mom didn't live with us. I don't have that.
That's like, That's exactly what it was.
But I did walk outside today in the backyard, and I thought, I'm like, because your dad used to sit in the backyard, and I looked at the tree where he always sat right here, and I was like, oh, dang, he's not here.
Yeah, man. I mean, every little thing now, I see his picture that we did for the funeral, and I'm like, man, this is weird. I thought I'd be getting a little better, but now I'm still this feelings and stuff. So I guess this is all part of the grieving process. That's what somebody told me. Hey, man, don't rush it. Let it happen naturally. But I didn't think it'd last like this and I'd feel like this, but that's just part of it.
Yeah, I had like a couple days, but I just cried. But it wasn't even about my mom. I just was crying, like just crying for like 3 days. And then after that, I've been fine. I did have a dream about her. She made her like famous ribs that she used to make. So, but
hey, you know what? Your mom could cook some good ass ribs.
Yeah, she did.
Back in the day, I'm not gonna lie.
It was weird, like that. I would have a dream about her making ribs. She hadn't made ribs in like 10, 15 years or something.
But when she made them, man, it was good as hell though. I remember that.
Yeah, I had that dream of her with the ribs. Which I'm glad I had a dream after she's been passed and gone. So
yeah, it's a good one. That means she left a good memory.
Oh, of course, I had a good mom. I ain't complaining.
I haven't had any dreams. I never realized I never had any dreams with my dad ever. I might start having them now.
You may. They say people come to you after a while, but it's not always right away.
Do you think that's their ghost coming to see us?
I don't know. That's what people say, but it may not be right away. So
yeah.
So talk to us about your experience with your dad. So his cancer. What kind of cancer did he had? Cancer,
like you said, colorectal cancer. So it's the whole cancer thing is kind of new for our family in general. So this is, I think, our dad's the first family member I know in our family that had this form of cancer. The whole experience was almost surreal when you first hear about the news. You're like, what? What? Damn. So I the whole taking care of him. I'm not going to go into every single bit of detail, but let's say he got sick. This is within the last month and a half. He got sick. And I'd been taking care of my dad pretty much the entire time myself.
Yeah, since last year when he was diagnosed. So he also had an ostomy bag, which is because he had the colorectal cancer. They were not able to operate and remove the tumor that caused an obstruction. So we had to get an ostomy bag, which is what collects your poop on the outside.
So it's like a piece of your intestine. They cut and they attach a bag, and instead of poop coming out your butt, it goes into the bag, and you got to change it. And when that happened, that was a whole life-changing experience, definitely for my dad, but for me, because after what I've learned at the hospitals, if I knew what I knew now, I'd have never let that happen the way it happened. So I had to be his caretaker and do that. And that was...
Well, when you say let it happen, so let's kind of backtrack. So your dad had to get the ostomy bag.
Yeah.
So you had to care for him. But what did you not know, or what did you not ask? Why was there a problem?
Well, how long is the bag going to be on? I started asking the nurses. They're like, well, maybe temporarily. They don't know shit. After I found out later, it's permanent. But that aside, taking the bag, and when they send you home for the hospital, they give you very small instructions, and they show you how to do it once, maybe twice, and then they release the patient to my care. So it happened extremely quickly. It wasn't like I had days to learn this. I had maybe one day, and in that one day, I saw it happen maybe 1 or 2 times. So to me, it seemed, it's simple enough. You just remove the bag, put it back on. Hell nah. It was not that easy. Obviously, when he got home and I had to do it myself, and the first mistake I made is I didn't do it right, and there's just poop everywhere. It was horrible. Just the whole place smelled like poop. There's just as bad as you can imagine is how bad it was for me. And I couldn't ask anybody for help. I just had to figure it out.
Well, there was nobody to ask for help.
Yeah.
Right at that point.
At that point, I didn't know anybody.
None of us in the house knew how to deal with that.
Natalie couldn't help.
I'd never
me
done
at all.
that. So
I'm.
And the hospital didn't give you any. They just showed you a couple times, but they didn't give you any real.
No resources really how to do it. A couple bags. They didn't tell me how to order. They said, here's a pamphlet. Call this company. Order it. They didn't tell me who I could call, who I could talk to for support. It was weird. I guess it was traumatizing in a way. So I had to deal with this for the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, as a son and never been a caretaker or a mother, or not mothering, but like a mothering type, like a caretaker type person.
I'm not used to doing that at all. I'm not built that way. But I had to become that person. And I'm not gonna lie, man. That first month, I thought I was going to die. But my dad didn't make it any easier because he just wanted to quit life himself. He was like, I don't want this bag. And so he didn't do anything to help me. He just sat there, didn't do anything, just kind of sat there and just kind of gave up on life. So that made it more difficult for me because with him not doing anything, I had to do everything. Like he wouldn't change it. He just lay there. And so for, like the first month and a half, 2 months, that's what it was like. It was horrible. I'd just come from work, go change his bag, ask him how I was doing it. And he just didn't care. He didn't even try to learn or do anything. And
because he was having his own trauma of having that bag. That was very traumatic for him. He did not want.
No, it changed.
He felt like that took away his part of his manhood or his humanness.
Yeah, I saw it take it away from him. He didn't do.
Yeah.
He just stopped doing everything, talking to people. But this
Because
is
he was embarrassed about the bag.
yeah, but this is part of. I found out later when I went to the ostomy group that this is part of the learning.
So what
process.
the ostomy group you said?
There's a local ostomy group that my friend introduced me to that I didn't even know existed.
So it's like a support group
Yeah,
for people who have ostomy bags in their families?
Correct. And so when you go there, you're like, damn, there's a lot of people, like there's just regular looking people and you'd never know. And they're all going through different emotions and they're all telling their stories. And then when you hear it, you're like, people are kind of going through similar things as my dad. And I was going to try to take him to one. I never had a chance to because he got sicker by the time, I kind of figured out what was going on. But that support group helped me to figure out how to help him better. And it really changed things after I started going to that group. I figured out how to do it, what questions to ask, who to go to in town for supplies, and the questions to ask when I didn't understand something. So that helped a lot doing that. But that was just a small part of his care. Once I got used to the bag, then life became easy. And then he started to change his bag and started wanting to learn. Once he started wanting to learn to take care of himself, that's when he became more independent. So for the first 2 months, he was fully dependent on me. And then slowly he's like, oh, it's not too bad. Ian's here, but I'm going to start helping myself. And then once I showed him how to do it, then he started to help himself. And then life got a little easier for him and me at that point. I don't think it's the same for all patients, but for me, that's what it was like for the bag portion. Until we continued, down that road of him getting sick and going into the hospital.
Right. So after that, he was sick. He deteriorated over time, unfortunately, because he was terminal.
Never chose to get any type of treatment. Just said, I'm gonna.
But he stayed in our home.
Yeah.
And then, so at what point did he end up? I know at some point he ended up not being in our home anymore. So
yeah,
how did that kind of play out?
Yeah, he got to the point. It got to the point where I was taking care of him, but he was getting sicker. Like every week, I was like, man, he's getting he was moving slower. Starting to complain more pain, just more pain in the process. And I'm like, man, it's I realized I'm getting to a point where I can't alleviate the pain.
So he did have help though with the pain. He had some pain management.
Yeah, the hospice, he was in hospice, so they had pain management. So they had to kind of help manage the pain. But when things started progressing as far as the cancer, hospice is not concerned about the cancer. They're just concerned about pain. So their job is just to make patients comfortable, and that's it. They're not there to stop the cancer, if he gets a cold, they could care less about that. That's not their job. Their job is strictly pain management, make sure the patient has minimal symptoms and almost pain-free before they pass. So there came a point where he was complaining. I'm like, well, I'm going to take him to the hospital. I'm not going to wait on hospice. So that's when I took him out of the home and took him into the hospital to get treatment. I went outside of hospice. They don't like when you do that, but I didn't care.
Well, didn't you initially also ask hospice, like, if you can't take care of him, like, what can you do?
Yeah, because when he started having real symptoms, I asked the hospice nurse, I said, well, what can I do? I'm trying to take care of my dad, but he's getting really sick. And she's like, well, I told you he was going to get sick. I'm like, yeah, but I can't physically take care of him anymore. He's starting to get heavy. And I can't do it, so what are my options?
Right, and I know one time he did, like he fell in the house,
and he was there for like over an hour on the ground, just laying there.
We didn't know.
And this was at night when we were sleeping, and he didn't tell us till the next morning. He goes, I fell, I just laid there. I'm like, and that's when I kind of freaked out. I'm like, this dude could have just died in the room, and we would have found him the next day. So
right. So since he was getting more sick, so you asked. So I remember you reached out to the hospice.
Asked the hospice nurse if there's anything I can do. Their answer is no, you have to take care of him. And I said, well, I just told you I can't take care of him because he's physically getting to the point where he needs care all the time. And they're like, well, no, you have to do it. I'm going to teach you how to change a diaper. I'm like, and I look at her.
But unfortunately, you're the breadwinner in our home. Like, so you have to care for the family and you have a job. And And so how did that play a role in how were you able to manage your job and care for him? And at what point, were you not able to do that, and what?
Yeah, there came a point where I was working and I was traveling a bit, and like I said, I couldn't be there all the time. So I realized once I started traveling more and then I was away from him, I couldn't just depend on you to kind of take care of him. So I told the nurse, I'm like, I'm the breadwinner of the family. I travel. Pretty much everything depends on me, going to work and, getting my job done. And I said, I just can't be here for my dad all the time. And the hospice nurse, they just look at you like, you got to do it. This is something that you have to do. And I'm sorry, but your dad's going to die here in the home. And I'm like, well, that's not helping me. That's not helping me to find a place for him to go. And I was stuck for a while because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, who to call.
Right, because you just knew that you had to go to work, but someone needs to care for him. And, unfortunately for me, not unfortunately, I told Ian, I'll tell you, straight up, I told you, I was like, I can't help you with your dad.
That's right.
I said, I'm not going to help you with your dad.
No, that's right.
Because when I have had to care for my mom, no one helped me. Like, I had to do what I had to do. So I already still have my dad to take care of. And, my mom, I would back and forth with her to going to see her. So I'm like, I can't take care. I can't help you with your dad.
No,
I told Ian, I'm not going to help you with your dad.
Correct.
This is you on your own.
Correct.
To take care of your parent, like how I took care of my parent.
That's correct.
And honestly, I did not feel any guilt about that.
No.
Most women would take on that job.
Don't do it.
But I was like, I'm not going to do it. Like, this is your dad. This is your family. I've never really asked you to be involved in mine. Every now and again, I may ask for help with something, but it's very rare. I took on that responsibility in that role. So I was like, I'm not doing this for your dad. I hate to say it like that, but I'm not doing that for you and your dad. Like, this is something that you're going to have to take on, and you're in full control of this situation.
I wonder how many people listening have that conflict where one spouse expects another spouse to help them. I bet you that's more of a conflict than the thing.
Maybe. I don't know. But I already knew I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, for us, it wasn't a conflict. I was like, yeah, I got to do it. I never complained about it. I didn't make a big deal about it. I just did what I had to do and took care of him. But I was wondering how many people listening now that's actually an issue for them.
Maybe,
like
I don't know.
The expectation of one spouse helping
well,
another spouse.
The women end up always typically being the caretaker.
Women don't do it for your
so
husband.
Even if it's your spouse's husband, a lot of time, or your spouse's parent, a lot of times the wives still take on that role.
Yeah.
But I just knew I wasn't good. I have decided in my life and realized I am not going to be a martyr for my children. I'm not going to be a martyr for my marriage. I am not going to be a martyr for anybody. I am going to take care of myself.
Whoa.
I will help others as I can.
That's a strong statement.
Well,
there,
that's the word that I have now decided.
Did you hear that, people? Natalie said, I am not going to be a martyr for anybody.
No.
I don't give a damn.
No, because especially as women, we take on these roles and we are martyrs to everybody else, and then we are not okay, and everyone else is fine around us, but we're not okay because we've done everything for everybody else and left ourselves hanging. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's good. Off topic. That's a
crazy statement. True.
So once you were talking to the hospice, and they told you that their job is to help with the pain, and you got to take care of him no matter what. You got to take care of him.
And I said, well, I'm not doing that, and the nurse is like, well, if you don't do that, we'll report you to the state. I'm like, what do you mean report me to the state? For elderly neglect. And once they make that statement to you, it gets very awkward. So now the nurse is saying, well, we're going to report you to the state if you decide not to help your dad. And obviously that's not the case. I'm going to help my dad. I'm trying to tell everybody, be prepared for these conversations if you have a loved one and you have to get ready to try to find them care.
And you don't have funds.
Correct.
Yeah, with my mom had long-term care policy. So all we had to do was we were able to hire help to care for her. Unfortunately, Ian's dad did not have funds because it could cost you $3,000, $4,000 a month or more, a little bit less to get somebody to come into the home, right, to care for him while you go to work. So where's that money coming from? Because we're already like strapped tight with money.
Man.
And if he didn't have a lot of money, the money that he had was minimal to now pay for somebody to come in, like maybe once or twice a week somebody could have came to help.
Minimal. And that's a very important word there is if you have a loved one and there's no money to take care of them and you have to do it, and then they have to go to the hospital and you can't physically take care of them, That's what the issue is. It's a money issue. A money issue. That's what everything comes down to, is if you don't have the resources to properly take care of your loved ones, then the hospice or the state will push everything onto you as the person in your home to take care of that
Or
person.
any family member they can find.
They're going to go down a list. What they do is they go down the list of.
Well, you got to go back in a little bit.
What do I have to go
so,
back to?
well, you say they're going to call a list, but it's who calls that list. So you're not able. Okay, so you weren't able to. You told them you couldn't take care of your dad.
Correct.
The hospice lady's like, well, you got to take care of your dad.
Yeah, the
you
hospice
know,
nurse.
even though like I got to go to work. I don't have money to pay for him to have care. What are my options? So they said you have no options but to care for him, or else we're going to get the state involved, which is DCF or whatever.
Yes, DCF.
DCF would get involved. So at that point, now, and you don't have the money for the care. So now what do you do?
So this is where things get interesting. I call the social worker and I tell her the same thing, and she comes.
That's the social worker at the hospital.
An independent social worker assigned to take care of my dad.
Okay.
So social worker assigned by, I think it's the state, will come and they'll assist you and kind of help you through the process of getting them help. So they'll say, well, first thing you got to see how sick he is, apply for Medicaid. So that's the first thing they do is make you apply for Medicaid. You go through the option. But the crazy thing is I told the social worker the same thing, and she kind of gave me a similar answer. But on this one particular day, I told her, I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do. I went to visit several homes in the area, and they're charging for assisted living $10,000 a month. And I said, ain't nobody have that kind of money to pay for.
Yeah, it's usually like between $4,000 to $10,000 a month for assisted living or nursing home.
It's ungodly. I never heard anything.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
there was we had no money like that. There's no money like that.
My dad didn't have no money nobody did. So, but one day she told me, she goes, well, here's what you have to do to bypass the whole process. I'm like, okay, what you have to do is get your dad in the hospital. Pretty much, if he starts complaining, just take him in there, saying that he has pain or whatever. Check him in the hospital, and once you check him in, when it's time to release him, don't take him. I said, what?
Well, it wasn't her, but it was like a friend of yours who said. Right,
it was a friend, and I told her friend, I'm like, what? Because that's what she did with her dad. I'm like, that sounds weird. She goes, you have to do it this way. If you don't do it this way, you're gonna have to take care of everything for your dad. And I said, but that's abandonment. She goes, no, it's not abandoned.
Well, what did she tell you that you had to do?
She said, you have to go to the hospital. When it's time to release him, they're going to call you and say, hey, come pick him up. And then you tell them, I'm not picking him up. And the hospital will say, well, what do you mean you're not picking him up? And then you just tell them, I'm not picking him up. And they'll say, are you leaving your dad here? Are you abandoning your dad? And they do those words on purpose because they start recording you at that point. Once they realize you're not going to pick him up, they ask you, are you saying that you're abandoning your parent and you're not going to come pick him up? And then you say, yes, I'm abandoning my parent. And now it's being recorded so they can use it against you.
Right,
So I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And when that actually happened to me, that was the hardest thing I ever did was said, yes, I'm abandoning him.
So basically they essentially said that you have to leave your dad behind and abandon him and say, I instead of just saying, hey, this is the help we can give. There, you have to say, I can't do anything for him, and I'm just going to leave him here.
Yes, he's a safety risk to me and my family and himself, and he can't be in our home anymore. You have to use those type of words, because once you use those type of words, then they can't really do anything. They're like, okay, so now you're leaving him here at the hospital for us to take care of him, and that's when the whole process starts.
Right, and then part of that is somebody may ask you, like, well, why didn't you have Medicare or Medicaid?
Correct.
So he has Medicare because he's over 65.
Correct.
But why did you not have Medicaid? What happened? Why?
Medicaid is a whole process. It takes 6 to 8 months to go through the process of applying for Medicaid and getting approved for Medicaid. And when you have somebody on hospice, that 6 to 8 months is that's done. That's not going to make it. So
right. So is it better then to get someone
early,
as soon as someone gets sick
as
like
soon
that?
As you have a loved
just
one
in
that
case.
Gets sick,
Could I do it like a just in case thing?
Yes. As soon as you have a loved one that's even starting to get sick, just apply for Medicaid. But before you apply for Medicaid, and you should already be doing this way ahead of time.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
That should be, but just tell them quickly, make sure they have 0 assets to their name before they apply.
Well, yeah,
for
but
Medicaid.
they go back 5. The government will go back 5 years.
They'll go back 5 years. So if they're healthy now, just start doing it now. Just get stuff out of their name, houses.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have another episode about that, about your
accounts.
estate.
Yeah, we'll start doing it on the estate show. But just know that Medicaid is coming after you for your money first before they use theirs. as part of the process. So
So you didn't apply for Medicaid because did anyone tell you to
no,
apply?
They did tell me to apply, but not. They're like, oh, apply for Medicaid, and then they just give you a form and say fill this out.
So you didn't fill out? Did you fill out
I
the
did
form?
fill out the form and I turned it in, but they don't answer. Nobody answers you. You don't hear anything, and that's that's where the issue exists. And that's what happened to my dad. Is once he was in the hospital, it was time to release him. I said I need you guys to apply for Medicaid for my dad. I made the hospital do it on my behalf because they can get proof faster than me as just a regular citizen.
Okay. So did they get the Medicaid for him? Did he have Medicaid?
No, they went through and applied for it. They applied for it. It went through. And at the end, as the hospital.
So wait, but okay, so wait, hold on. What happened? So what happened after they said, you have to go back a little bit because I don't understand. So after they said after you told him you were going to abandon him, like then what happened?
Multiple weeks back and forth of them saying, okay, we're going to call the state of Florida on you
or DCF
and say that you're abandoning your dad. So I told them to call. I said, go ahead and call. I said, I'll talk to somebody on the phone. And once they realized that I wasn't actually going to pick him up, then they actually started to help us to try to find.
Well, no, didn't they also try to call relatives? Did they call? No. They don't call relatives, other relatives?
No, my sister and I got involved just because we wanted to. But there's a list. They say they go down a list of living relatives. They'll try to call to get him out. But once they realize there's no list to call because they looked, there's nobody to call.
Oh, okay.
So that's what it is. They'll attempt to call other relatives to pick him up, but they couldn't find any.
Right.
Even though I had relatives all over, they couldn't find any relatives to.
But they weren't anyone that he had contact with anyway.
Correct. So the next couple of weeks would go by, and all this time they're calling me 4 or 5 times a day.
And how long did that last?
This lasted 2.5, almost 3 weeks. So he was in the hospital almost 2 full weeks. He got better, and they would call me and say, "You need to pick up your dad." I'm not picking him up, and I just tell them that. And I said, you guys need to help me find a home and a place because at this point he's going to die.
Right, and he was in that hospital. Were you able to go see him?
Yeah, I went to see him about once or twice. I went to see him because at first, me and my sister were like, "Hey, let's wait till this dies down a little bit before I go in the hospital." And the whole time we knew he was okay because the nurses would call me 3 or 4 times a day. Saying,
right,
hey,
but you weren't really talking to him.
No, I wasn't
and
talking
communicating.
to him. I was
so he's in that hospital without any. He was in there with no communication
no
outside.
Not from me.
Wow.
And the only thing the nurse is saying is, "Oh, your dad misses you." I'm like, okay, well, I still can't talk to him because this whole process is going on. So the one time I did go in there, I'm like, "Hey, I'm okay. Everyone's fine, but I need you just to be quiet. Don't say anything to the nurses. Just sit here, and my sister and I will take care of everything and get you into a proper place." Of course, my dad couldn't help himself and do what we told him to do. He couldn't help himself. He was, let's say, in there 2 weeks, and let's say some things were signed, and then he was released, and they found a home for him. They did end up finding.
So who found the home for him?
The hospital. The hospital will find a home for him if they need to. They will find a place for him. It just matters how long you want to wait. But as long as you don't go and pick them up, the hospital has to find a place for him to stay because they want that bed. The bed that patient in is more important than anything. So
why did they not call DCF?
Oh, they called DCF after they released him out of the hospital bed.
But why didn't they call before when you were telling them go ahead and call it? Why would they not
my
call?
sister and I figured out what it was. It was something that one of the hospital social workers told us in secret. And pretty much she said, off the record, she's like, "Well, if you want to, you don't have to do anything, and we'll have to, by law, we have to take care of your dad." And that's what she told us, like, "You don't have to do anything, just leave him here. And by law, we can't send him somewhere, especially when he's terminal, and we have to take care of him." And so I was like, "Really?" So we didn't do anything. We just left him there, and he was fine. They took care of him. And if he got sick or something happened, they were there with machines. They took really good care of him. The hospital was the best place for him because I couldn't have given him that care
right
at my home, with the cancer.
Yeah, and then he had some other issues because his
abdomen started to swell because when your organs start shutting down, your body starts building up fluid. It's all part of the dying process when you have terminal cancer. So that's all part of it. And this particular cancer is very aggressive. So as the organs and as his liver started to shut down because the cancer spread from his colon to his liver. So as his liver started shutting down, that's when he started getting sick.
So he needed care.
Yeah,
Like he needed to be in a hospital or get treatment for the fluid buildup.
When the fluid started building up, we knew it probably 2.5, 3 weeks left, he'd be gone. So it started happening, and it was very aggressive. So at that time, I knew there's nothing I could do. The hospital was the best place.
Right, because the hospital's got to drain the fluid. You can't drain the fluid at home.
Here's what they wanted to do. Oh, we'll put in a little port for you to drain it yourself. These hospitals are brutal, man. And I said, absolutely not. I can't do that. I'm not equipped for any drainage at my house. But that's what these hospitals will do. They don't want them in the hospital. They don't. They want them out. They want the bed that your loved one is in. They want that bed. They don't care about your loved one. They want the bed. How loved one's taken.
Well, because that bed is money.
That's money.
That's revenue.
And so when your loved one's in that bed and what it is, they can't charge insurance anymore. That's what it was. Once they can't charge insurance, like in my dad's case, Medicare. Once Medicare is maxed out, they need my dad out. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get him out of the bed. And I'm like, I'm not releasing him. So the more desperate they got, they would give us more time to take care of him. Oh, we'll take care of him it started off as 30 days. By the time we were done, we got 6 months.
That's take care of him like at the hospital. I thought they wanted them out of the hospital.
What we talked them into doing was they were so desperate to get him out of there and us to sign that they said, we'll find a place for him to stay. We'll pay for him for 6 months, all charges, everything, full care for 6 months at a assisted living facility.
Yeah.
Yes. And what happened was he got released and they found him a home. Of course, it was an hour away from here, but they found him a place. And the place ended up being very, very good to him. And the hospital paid for 100% of everything. We didn't pay for anything. They paid for full everything. So the hospitals can do this. They can do this.
Or at least through Medicare they can. If they expedite the Medicare to get the funds that are needed to cover the person's care.
Hospitals have funds set aside to take care of people that are dying. They just don't tell people. They don't. But they have funds set aside for that purpose. So that was my experience getting my dad into a home. It was very morbid. I've never dealt with people that lied so much to me, and it hurt me in the process to know that people would.
But who lied? You said people lied. Who lied?
The social workers at the hospital. I'm not trying to badmouth the hospital, but it's a whole system that we're living in where taking care of your loved ones. These hospitals are putting it on you as a person, as a caregiver. They're not putting it on them. They want nothing to do with that. So when they want that bed, they will lie and cheat and do everything they can to get that bed. They don't care. They'll do whatever they can to get that bed. My dad ultimately signed. They brought in this pretty nurse, and the nurse told my dad, "Hey, this is what he told me. A really pretty nurse came in and said, "Hey, if you sign this document, we're going to make sure we take care of you until you pass away. Your son and daughter won't have to worry about anything." My dad didn't even look at what he signed. He just signed it, and that's how he got out of the hospital. They took advantage of a dying person with cancer.
Well, I mean, yes, they took advantage in the sense of having him sign something that he didn't really know about while you and your sister were not around.
They brought Pum Pum to my dad, and he lost.
Come on, Dad. But he did still get the care. He did get proper care. They sent him to although the care facility was an hour away, they did place him in a good place.
Yes.
And they took care of him.
They did.
So that's the
one good thing I could say is they did find I thought it was going to be a terrible place, but it ended up being in this place in a subdivision on the outside of Daytona, and it was a really good place for my dad. They treated him very good, and my dad was a very difficult patient, very difficult. But I have nothing but good things to say about that place.
So what all did you learn from this process that you had to go through?
The one thing I want everybody to know is don't give up on your loved ones, but know there's another way out if you don't have the resources to help them. Don't think you have to do everything by yourself all the time, because most people I talk to say they're taking care of their mom and dad, they're sick and they're stressed because well, if I can't do it, then my sister has to do it. Then I got to drive. I got to take them to the doctor. Yes, that's part of it, but there is help available out there. You just got to ask. If you ask, there's help available. Now,
but where do you ask?
I went to, of course, the hospital first, but beyond the hospital, you have to go to the state and try to ask help for medical assistance. Now, the state of Florida is different than other states in this country.
Right. Every state's kind of different.
So every state has their own way of helping. Florida is one of the most difficult states to get assistance is Florida. The most difficult state in the country is Florida to get any type of assistance for your loved ones. So if you live in another state, you'd have to call the state and find out what their policy is and they'll give you a list of all the services they provide for your loved ones. Florida is just difficult to get any type of help for your loved ones unless you have money. If you have to have a substantial amount of money or assets to pay for your loved one.
Well, that's where that's where I know from us and my family, the long-term care it made a huge, my mom didn't have cancer, but it made a huge difference in being able to do what we wanted to do for her. I didn't have to rely on the government or anyone else to help us care for her because we had the money with the long-term care policy that took, it paid, I think they paid up to like $5,000 or $6,000 a month or something.
Yes, that makes a difference. Though.
Oh yeah, because that's the way she never wanted to go into a nursing home, and I promised her I wouldn't do that. But because we had that long-term policy, I didn't have to. We could afford. We were able to get her a nurse. She had a nurse that would come in the mornings, and then the nurse would drive her to she went to an adult daycare facility for a while, for several years, and she would drive her there. But that a minimum in order to get an aid is 4 hours minimum.
Yep.
If we because we had to get someone through an agency because we couldn't find anybody private. So 4 hours minimum at like $25, $30 an hour per day. That's 5 days a week.
Dude, it's
plus then we had to pay for the adult daycare service and all of that stuff.
I know people listening right now are paying that out of pocket, and I'm telling you, it's tough. It's tough to do that over and over again.
If you can get a long-term, look up a long-term care policy for your parent. Usually before they're 60, you want to get one.
For us now, even us as we're talking, we have a long-term care.
Well, yeah, we ended up getting long-term policies.
Please get long-term. Just get some type of long-term. Do not put this burden on your kids or anybody else in your family.
Because your dad had no finances, we had to do a lot of different things that we wouldn't have wanted to do.
He had no finances, so it was a burden on me. To take care of him and find some funds. Luckily, he had some, but very minimal. So we had to always be scrounging for money to take care of him, and it was tough, man. And I know people are listening right now are going through it. But if you are healthy, and you're at 48?
Well, they say usually before age 60 you want to get a long-term
Get it
policy.
now, people. I swear.
And
to
even
Jesus,
if your parents don't want to get it or they don't want to pay for it, if you as their child, it's better that you pay for it.
Pay the money
because it will save you the hassle.
Even if it's $500 a month, and you can pay something to get some form of long-term.
Yeah, even if it's a small amount.
Anything, because what happens is you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And you're going to be glad you paid it. Most insurance, you don't ever get the value of it. But I'm telling you, this one, man, if my dad would have had some type of long-term insurance, it would have made the biggest difference in how his care was.
Yeah, and stress for you as well as his caregiver.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks, Ian. I appreciate you. I know it's kind of
went better than I thought.
A little sad, morbid, but I mean that's just the realities of life and when someone gets sick and they don't have money, and you as the caregiver, what happens to you as a caregiver? How does that affect you financially, especially as a child and taking care of a parent who did not financially prepare for their future? That's a huge undertaking. It's a huge responsibility, and I feel like you did a good job. I mean, I highly praise you for what you were able to do because you are not I was a little concerned at first, like how the hell is he going to take care of his dad?
I'm a super selfish person. That's what she's trying to get to. So what she's trying to say is, I don't know how your selfish ass is going to take care of your dad because you don't even take care of us very well. So how are you going to take care of your dad? So that's what she's trying to say. So, isn't that what you're trying to say?
What I was trying to say was, I think you did a great job with what you knew and what you had to go through. So that's what I was going to say, that I was proud of you for taking care of your dad and showing that you have another side of you that can be selfless and caring and empathetic as best you can be to somebody else in their time of need.
I knew it was coming.
Well, I mean, you're a typical dude. Like, you're a typical male. Like, you're a very typical male, except that you do have a little bit more emotional intelligence than most.
What do typical males do? I don't understand. I mean,
like you would get mad about having to care for him and doing certain things.
I did.
And you were like, I don't have to do that. But you did it, even though you were mad about it.
I would get very annoyed and mad, but like I said, like my sister said, you're not acting like someone that doesn't love our dad. And then I got very quiet because.
And then we have another episode where you talked about your strained relationship with your dad. So you were a caregiver for someone that you didn't have 100% good feelings about. Like that's even a whole nother aspect that we talked about that already in another episode.
I'm starting to feel bad.
But you did, and you made it through, and your dad could never say that you did not care for him. He was very proud in the fact that you took care of him and that you did things for him. And so, all you can do is take that and know that you did the best that you could. And that's what's, I think, to me, is most important in the whole situation, is that you did the best that you could with what you had and what you knew. Because we don't all know and we can't all do, right? But you can do the best with what you have at that time. So that's what I would, I commend you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot coming from you, Natalie. It's hard to get compliments.
Your wife who abandoned you in your time of crisis.
No, okay. You didn't abandon me. You did not abandon me. You actually helped me a lot. You didn't abandon me. Natalie always did her best to encourage me, even when I was frustrated. And no matter how much I was frustrated and I want her on my side, she always told me the truth about what I had to do and to help my dad and to kind of see my dad where he was. So that helped me get through a lot of this. My perspective was I'm angry, but her perspective was, hey, your dad is who he is, and he loves you, and, just meet him where he is and take care of him. So that's what I did. So, yeah, you did help me through. So,
okay. Well, I'm glad that we can be there for each other. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. It was definitely a learning experience for me, but I hope everybody listening will just, the one thing I said, just long-term insurance, man. That's, I might have
any other final word of wisdom or lesson learned?
Final words
of wisdom or lesson learned, another lesson learned from the whole situation.
Just to be patient, that's all. It's going to be frustrating, but just continue to try to practice patience and try to show as much love as you can to your loved ones. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Ian.
Great.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Family Mess today.
Listen to the streaming platforms, iHeart, iTunes.
You still trying to name all the things?
And you can email us at thefamilymess with 3 S's, thefamilymess at gmail.com.
Oh, I keep forgetting. We have our number. You can text us if you have a comment, question. There we have a phone number. It's 407-357. We talked about it the last a couple episodes. I forget about it.
Go ahead, tell them.
0075. That's 407-357-0075. You can always text us if you have, like I said, comments, questions.
We got phone calls coming in.
Suggestions for future podcast episodes. Yeah. It's all there, and we will reply. If you did text us, we will reply.
All right. Take care, man. God bless. Mess. Family mess. It's funny.